Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Color of Money podcast. I'm here today with my co-host physically, which is Daniel Dixon, and myself, Emmerich Peace. Our other two co-hosts, they're out creating great things for the world, Bowman Keaty and Julia Deshay. And we have our guest here today, Marlena McWilliams. Marlena McWilliams is located in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, the DMV, by way of Colorado. So her and Daniel are going to get along great. They're going to have some different conversations, something I don't know about mountains or something. I don't know. And at the end of the day, what it's really about is the conversation about the whirlwind, the pit bull in a skirt, the Ann Co lady, Marlena McWilliams, who just happens to be a phenomenal real estate professional. She sells real estate. She rebuilds real estate. She manages real estate. She does all things real estate. And I just absolutely love it. And I'm calling her, as she claims, the Ann Co lady, the Ann Co pit bull in a skirt. And just thank you for coming out and being a second time guest here, Marlena, because our last session, we couldn't even cover everything that she did. That's how good she is. We couldn't cover it all. So now we're in this place where we have to take a second interview. We have to take a second session. So let's talk about this thing, Marlena. Ann Co. Tell us about Ann Co, because I believe that's a idea that a lot of us, we can't even grasp. Just the idea of Ann Co. Most of us can only do one business at a time. You do 4 or 5 businesses at a time. So tell us about the Ann Co idea.
Yeah. Thank you, Emmerich, for the great introduction. And I'm happy and honored to be back here with you two fellas. You're the best that I've grown to know and growing to know even better each and every day. So love working with you guys. So it kind of just started. I was trying to make my real estate team not just about me. When you start off as a single agent, it's your name, and your name is kind of your brand, and that's cool and all, and things you want to do. But then, when you start developing a team, you start thinking beyond yourself, and you want something that's going to be lasting. So did this whole marketing excursion with a company, which I do think is a good suggestion for anybody trying to really dig deep into who you are. It definitely helped me gain clarity into who I am and why I was doing the things I was doing. And so from there, I named my real estate team after my grandmother's maiden name, which is Mascotti. And because of that, I said, well, anybody that comes on is family. So it's Mascotti and Company. We're all together. Okay. I had also named my small renovation and repair company, which is Origin. And I got that from and trademarked that because it's Negro spelled backwards. And then when you put a hyphen on it, it makes it Origin. So it's great. Origin company. It's all of us. Right. And then owning my own properties, I kind of knew I was a bad landlord in a sense that when people knew it was me, the person kind of owning some of my properties, they treated me different when they thought it was a property management company. So I started kind of like managing my own, but acting like it wasn't me, fake it until we make it. And then as I was talking to a lot of my clients coming out of COVID, it wasn't always advisable, and I'm here to be their advisor when it comes to real estate, to tell them to sell their house, right? So the honest answer was, it might not be the time for you to sell because, you could make some really good potential rental income. Have you thought about that? And being that advisor and that friend and that confidant, they were like, yeah, we want to rent it, but we don't want to manage it, right? So who can we get to manage it, Marlene? If it was you, we would manage it. So kind of jumped into that with a partner of mine. And so we were like, well, what do we want? Because she owned buildings too. And I was like, we want professionals. So it became Pros and Co. And so now it's the Ann Co family. And we do property management through professional services, contractors, everything we have. We have Origin Company, which is all the Negroes and us together and building the world back. And then we have Mascotti Company, which is after my grandmother's namesake. So we became the Ann Co family. And now that I have that clarity, all the businesses are steering in the right way. That all the families are moving in the right direction, separate but equal.
And as it should be, because Real estate is a multi-dimensional profession, discipline, entity. In so many times, we as professionals, we're not buying what we're selling. And what I mean by we're not buying what we're
Hmm.
selling, we're not buying other real estate. We're not buying the fact that we can do property management. We're not buying into the fact that we can do renovations. We're just not buying what we're selling. We're referring a lot of folks, and there's some things where we can have ancillary services that offer a benefit to our client, which makes the value proposition of working with us as a professional in real estate. It makes us a more valuable target. Is that what you found and having and co? How has that affected your business?
Yeah, so the old saying, what you put energy into grows, right? So some of my sales has gone
Right.
down, but I'm fine with that right now because the other businesses are flourishing, and I had to put energy into them, of course, to help them grow, right? So my focus has been more on those. Sales are still doing good and steady. Could we be growing? We will, and we'll go back to growing. But I started putting energy in there. But yeah, it made business much more easier for me because everybody just now knows, and we tell people, hey, we don't steal your clients for property management. That's just property management. And we have separate managers running that outside of me. But it does offer us to allow to offer an elite circle of services to keep everybody in the family. And that's the whole point of it, is to keep everybody in the family and make sure that the elite services that they have, that they're actually names we can stand behind. I know you guys have probably been in it too, where you refer to somebody, you're like, please don't go over there and mess up my good name. But if it stays
All the
in house,
time, all
you
the
can kind
time.
of ensure that, right? Because you're in control of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me about the partnerships. I think that it's an area where, in the mortgage industry right now and real estate industry, this whole merger and acquisition thing is happening like literally every week. And so there's a
Yeah.
lot of people that I'm seeing that are partnering and stop not necessarily trying to do everything on their own. Tell me a little bit about like how that came about. How did you structure that partnership, and why partner versus doing it all on your own?
I believe the adage that you go much faster, you're much stronger with people. Nobody does this alone, this life alone, right? We all have cheerleaders, people that help us, people that are having our back. And once you realize that, you're able to grow much faster, right? So everybody uses the hype saying right now, collaboration over competition. And it's very much so true. And so for me, it was like, I can't be a million places at one time. I have a family. I like to enjoy my life some, so I need leverage. And leverage doesn't always have to come in the form of just people working for you. It very much so works that
Hmm.
way, but sometimes leverage is allowing somebody to have ownership with you, because then they will take pride in it and onus over it with you, right? At a much higher level because they want to see it successful as well. So that's where I came from. And then with my partner for property management, for instance, we both own buildings. We both were always having conversations, right? When you're talking to people about managing your things and what you have to do. And in those conversations, it was like, man, we want to pay for property management, but we know how to manage them. You start having those conversations. And then it's like, well, we could do
Hmm.
this. And we did. So then we set up a structure. When you set up a partnership, you have to have one person have 51% most often and one person 49. We were like, it doesn't matter. I had somebody that matched my values. We talked about our values. We wrote out a list of what we were expecting. We wrote out a goals of how many doors we wanted to get by when. Like our little mini 5-year plan. It was just on a 1-page document. And then we contacted a lawyer just to make sure we had the paperwork right, right? From my previous honest conversation with you guys, I didn't do that in the beginning. So I'm like, good business people do that now.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
club. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. So I'm like,
Once
look,
bitten,
we're
twice
both,
shy.
yeah, and we're both good business people. The paper tells us what we can and can't do. We're good.
The paper is just to manage expectations. It's not to tell people what to do. It's just to manage expectations.
Hmm.
Agreed.
That's
But it
it.
also, to be honest, if somebody doesn't do something right, it tells what the infraction or the possibility of what could happen next. So
Yeah, exactly. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, expect this.
you're right.
But I think let's stay there for a minute though, because I think the pain of previous the pain of previous decisions where it wasn't done this way creates the clarity of how to do it this way. So it's like Gary always says, fail forward, fail fast. But that's truly what we live through when you start looking at building big businesses. It's just a matter of I failed so much faster than I learned. So the next time I have the at bat, I'm going to make sure that everything's buttoned up and tightened up the way it needs to, right?
Yes, 1000%.
Yeah.
But that's why you got to fail and get back up and dust yourself off and then keep going, right?
And I think give yourself grace. I don't think people give themselves enough grace to make
Woo.
mistakes, and it's okay to fall and fail and feel bad about yourself and question yourself and doubt yourself. And it's just about recognizing where you're at in that moment, you know?
Yeah, I just spoke at the brokerage here at the team meeting, right? And it was me and an excellent panel. We had two other guys from my office. Specifically, we were all talking about developments and things like that. So one of the guys gave his tidbit, which was, borrow as much as you can for the best terms, right? And so one of the people in the audience was like, hey, isn't that scary, right? So the guys were sitting there and I was like, you know what? Yes, it's scary. It's scary as hell, but you just have to trust and make sure that you worked out a good plan, So to your point, Daniel, you're gonna get scared. Every level, everything you grow, there is a moment of being scared and just pushing through that as well.
Well, if you're not scared, then you disrespect the process. That's just my opinion. You disrespect the process. If there's not some fear involved, you're disrespecting the process. Now, that
Or you're
fear
not
is
going hard enough.
Right.
Yeah.
That part, you're thinking too small. The fear is mitigated by your preparation.
Yep.
You're scared, and then once you understand that you're prepared, then the fear is diminished. It's not gone. Let me make that clear. It's not gone. It's just diminished. And that's the thing that we have to understand. Everybody has some type of fear. It's just a matter of how well did you prepare. Whether you get analysis paralysis and don't do anything. And I'm a strong victim of analysis paralysis. I can talk about that all day long. So
Well, let's stay there though, Emric. Like, how do you get out of that? I see so many people getting ready to get ready, versus just jumping in and figuring it out on the way. Like, how do you prepare effectively but not get so lost in the weeds that there's no action taken?
well, I believe that there's two things you have to do. You have to make sure that you're working in your gift zone. And if you're not working in your gift zone, you have a partner, Marlena, that is their gift zone. And somewhere between the two of you, you understand that whatever this is, you can conquer it. And I believe a lot of us, we get analysis paralysis because we stay in analysis paralysis because we attempt to do it by ourselves.
I agree with that.
And we don't have the
Eric.
right support system around us.
I think we learned that early too. Like, I'm the salesperson, especially for property management. I pretty much brought in 90%, but she has a skill that I do not have and nor wish to have. She's a whip with the numbers down to the penny. I know how to do those things, but that's not my energy, where my energy should be spent. That's not my gift zone.
It's not your gift
and that's
zone.
actually, it's like depleting for me to do it. So I'm not going to be the best successful at it because it sucks energy out of me versus bringing energy up and making me want to move forward and move fast and move quick. So you have to find a partner, as you said, that balances you out. And successful teams and groups that I've seen done it, those are the ones that are successful, right? They find people to fill the gaps where it's energy sucking for you. Even if you know how to do it, be honest about your own time audit energy, about auditing yourself and knowing what gives you energy and what doesn't, because that's the gift zone that's going to help you propel.
I was just in a session. I was at an 80th birthday party for a friend of mine, George Frazier, and that was part of the conversation. In order for you to thrive in the highest way possible, you should do things that you love with people who you love.
Yep.
Which means that, and it's just, I love your gift zone. I love what you bring to the table. I love how you compliment me. Those are the people who you do things with. So, you do what you love with people who you love, and it brings you a different level of energy.
Because then it doesn't seem like work, huh?
No, it's not work. Daniel, you do things with people who you love every day. You should know.
They get on my
And you love
nerves
them in
sometimes,
business
though,
and out of business.
So Marlena, when we think about these companies and we think about this business that you're building, what is the why? What is the vision? How do you clearly define that?
My big why is to actually get to a place where I can build small communities overseas. That hasn't changed. And in learning about building those small communities, you need all three of the assets that I've started to build. And so to understand them at this level locally where I am, as well as, be able to expand is what's going to allow me to be able to grow that quicker overseas, which is where I want to end up and grow. And so, you got to understand real estate and sales, even though the laws may be different where I may be intending to end up. But at least coming with some base knowledge. You have to have, code laws and international code laws and know about renovation and repair, building communities, what it takes, pulling water, all those things, right? And then managing, because not all the communities I tend and want to build for people to live in are we going to sell, right? They're going to be communities that we maintain and keep. So we need to understand how to manage larger communities and bigger establishments so that we provide a level of service and a quality of life to human beings as a whole. It's kind of where I am. And it came from me traveling and seeing so many beautiful places and, just luxurious places I was able to spend in my life, but knowing right outside the door that there's somebody that is living barely with enough to eat, having just, steel over their head, and not, the right proper natural resources. And I know for me, growing up in a very stable home with my mother, having a home to call home that's still our home in Colorado today, that gave me always a sense of belonging no matter where I went. And I want to share that with the world. And I think people need that.
So here's a question. Is there a place? You said you didn't mention a place in particular. Is there a place in particular that's your target destination? Your first target destination. Let's put it that way. Yeah. That first journey, is there a place, the first journey?
Yeah. So one of my first places that we definitely want to build in is I have a lot of clients that are Guyanian. So we want to build there. I've been working with an architect out there, actually learning a lot of things for him. And then we're thinking about Nigeria, even though lots of parts of Nigeria are actually built up, but there's a lot of movement there. So we're looking at different countries in Africa, but making different relationship. And then another place is El Salvador. We're looking at that because that has a lot of growth that's coming. They're getting ready to build a new airport, and that airport's going to be near the beach, and it's a great place to build some communities over there. And a lot of this stuff, surprisingly, that I want people definitely to take away, talk to your clients. They have this information. They have these type of connections, and that's how I've been learning about these various areas. And all I'm doing is touching my client, right? And I'm getting to have a great conversation. And then it allows me, they connect me with somebody that, lives in El Salvador. And then we go from there and they help me translate or do different things like that. And so my orifice was starting with Africa and some of the Caribbean islands, but now it's growing into other Spanish countries as well.
And you said something. You said getting back in touch with your clients. So this is this whole idea of growing and co. You're taking this whole relationship idea a different place, whereby it's the relationship between the and codes, it's the relationship between your clients, it's the relationship with people outside of the country. It's just relationship building. Because I have a saying, relationships will take you places money can't. And so it sounds like what you're saying is that in order for us to grow the way we truly want to go, we have to have the right relationships.
1,000%. I'm not going to lie. I used to be one of those people like, I can do it. I can do it by myself. And I think that did hinder my business for a long time and my growth personally. And I'm not afraid to admit that to people because I want people to learn from my mistakes, right? Some people trudge forward so that others don't have to. But that was one of my mistakes is like, oh, it's just me. I could do it and thinking I could be superwoman. And I had to learn to put that cloak down. I had to learn that there were people that had some of the similar ideas. We have some of the similar codes, and we would be able to do this bigger and better together. And, Gary Keller, taking a page out of that book, he has really smart people around him. He talks about it all the time. And so just letting that go and realizing and not being afraid of partnerships and allowing people to have a piece, because you'll get a bigger piece in the end of the whole versus you trying to get the whole pie yourself, working yourself to death. And it's just a better quality of life, to be honest. But I did try it the hard way at first, Ibram. Gonna share that here. just trying to trudge through by myself. But now that I've opened up, I'm seeing the exponential growth almost, immediately. I hate to say it that way, but it's like happening at a much rapid rate.
And I love it because what you're talking about like in your partnership, you're getting 49% of $200,000 rather than 100% of $70,000.
Correct.
And that's the part that we miss, that when you add other people, the idea is that the bottom line will grow the same way that the partnership grows.
1,000%. And again, you're able to operate, as you mentioned earlier, in your gift space, and they are too. And now everybody's thriving. So they even continue to grow. And then you start bringing more people, and you start attracting the right people because they want to be a part of it. They see it growing. They feel it. So none of that you can hide. It's blatantly there, or it's not there.
So what is the next thing that you're adding to the Ancos?
We're going to hold the Ancos there because they're growing, and we don't want to not deliver great service, right? So we want to make sure we're still putting things in place, and we're getting opportunities out of property management to build we're bidding on a 100-unit HOA development. It's going to be one of our biggest. We just won a 45-unit condominium. So we're getting bigger places and learning those bigger spaces about having procurement in those areas, and what procurement is in the sense of having all the services for lawn care, maintenance, cleaning, all those things that they need, and providing those vendors. But eventually it's to open the bar, which I have a podcast that I'm starting too, but it's called Chat and Chew. That's going to be the name of my bar. That's eventually what will go, like a bed and breakfast dive bar type of girl. I just want people to come in and feel welcome, kind of like Cheers, and everybody just, knows your name, and you get to go there and have a good time. And so that would be the next thing. And then, of course, building overseas, we are starting to have those conversations again with clients, honestly, that are already making those investments, and we're asking to join in, or how we can partner with them. So those would be the next top three things. I would say by the end of this year would just be letting the businesses flow, letting them grow and flourish, and making sure everything's in the right place now that we have them moving in the right direction.
And again, it's all parts. And Daniel, I'm coming back to you, Daniel, because like we have these conversations, and you really don't talk about this a lot.
Yeah, he's the big dog. You two.
Yeah. And so when we talk about that, people say you should not work with friends and family, right? And you work with family, you live by family, which I absolutely love. And in your world, as far as growing and adding and family, what does that mean to you in your world when we talk about multiple streams of income, different businesses, and family? What does that mean?
It allows more pride for me knowing that I'm building my people, because to your point, like, what's better than building businesses with people you know, love, and trust?
Right.
Like, it's awesome, right? Now they have had its challenges. We've had friends that we brought into our world that, someone will recommend, and friends haven't turned out so well with how fast we move and how aggressive we move.
Right.
Family's been a lot more forgiving in that sense, but I think we spend like six, sometimes 7 days a week together. Our families will hang out on the weekend. We'll go to sporting events together. And I think we've learned how to truly talk about work at work. And then once we're off of work, I'm not asking Dami like, hey, did you get that such and such? Hey, did you get my email I sent you before I left? Like, we kind of keep that at work, and then we go be uncle, auntie, whatever it is, in those spaces. But I think it's hard though, man. Like, we've been doing this for about a decade. And in the early years, it was really hard finding those balances and those rules and those boundaries of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. If I'm hard on you at work, that doesn't mean I don't love you or I'm mad at you. Like, we can now, Willie's a little different, but me and Dami can have a fight at work and then go to the sports game later in the afternoon, and it's like nothing ever happened. Not everybody's like that, but my business partner is.
I've tried, Daniel. I give you all the praise. Like, me and my brother tried. Fail. Like, we did not do that well. No.
It's hard.
Did you guys actually have to make rules though? Like, we don't talk about this after 5, or did it just like naturally happen?
It just kind of naturally happened on, it's really, it's every breakdown can have the opportunity to be a breakthrough. And then it's truly, we talked about earlier in the podcast, falling and getting up and knowing that we're both committed to the outcome and to the result. So however we get there, we've got to make sure we keep communication lines open, and just being able to be like, hey, you did that, I didn't like it. I mean, for instance, uh, yesterday I was talking to Dominique, and she went and sat down and turned her back and stopped the conversation. So I was like, hey, that's not okay. That's not nice. Let's not do that let's not do that stuff again. Oh, my
Yeah.
bad. I didn't even mean it like that. Like we're all going through things and thinking through things, and it's giving forgiveness. It's giving, again, grace, and just knowing that, like, at the end of the day, there's the people that I can count on the most, the people that are here with me every day. And no matter how
Absolutely.
difficult it is, or the trials and tribulations that we go through, I have the people who have my back day in and day out, which is I couldn't tackle the world as I do if I didn't have that kind of confidence and foundation behind me.
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
that's what I love, because I watch you guys interact. I watch it. I watch what you've done in the office sometimes, and then I see you guys out in the streets, and it's like, okay, I like that. I like that. And for me, it's kind of inspiring because I work with my son a lot, and
Hmm.
now my daughter. And I had, yeah, and just like when you work with family, you have to temper yourself, because I mean, I don't really hold my tongue that much, particularly with people I love.
You're right.
So they have he's been cussed out a few times, and so now I'm better because I know he don't like for me to cuss him out. But by
Yeah.
the same token, I'm holding you to the fire. I'm not gonna let you. I'm gonna treat you harder than I treat somebody else, because the expectation is higher. But then, just like you said, with your family, it feels good when you walk in the door, or I'm sitting out in the parking lot and you have your family, and I'm having a rough day. And sometimes I just sit in the parking lot, and either my son will walk out to the truck, my daughter will walk out to the truck. Hey, you okay? I see you've been sitting out here for 30 minutes. You okay? Anything I can do for you? I'm instantly energized as soon as that happens. I'm like, damn, it's a different place. So when you work with your family,
Yeah.
it can be a double-edged sword from a personal perspective, from a professional perspective, and a personal perspective. So I get it loud and clear.
When
Nah,
I
but
think
Loud and
Emmerich, one
clear.
thing though, that's sitting in the car getting your piece for 30 minutes a real thing. I do that a lot.
right?
But see, they check on me. Let me tell you, they check on me to make sure I'm okay and to make sure I'm awake.
Yeah, right.
Because
Quick
they know
nap.
they know I go to sleep anywhere.
Well, I think it's really like, I think one of the things we're looking at as we're starting to get back in growth mode. I mean, these last 2 years have been painful, but we're back in growth mode again, and we're really thinking like, all right, well, outside of KPAs and discs and everything else, like, who do I enjoy being around every day?
Right,
Do when I'm sitting in an interview, do I like you? And if I don't
right.
feel good with your energy and I don't really like you, I don't care what your resume says. I'm out.
Do what
Yep.
you love to do with people who you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was just a profound statement last night when I heard that.
Or with Daniel, you do the KPAs and the DIS, and you still have everybody do it because it just teaches you how to communicate to them, and
Yeah.
what makes them tick. But you're right, energy's first. And it's like, you got to get to that point because sometimes you get somebody in there and even though they're highly qualified for the job, you guys just don't jive. And that's an honest
Hmm.
thing and an honest
Yeah.
place to grow to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so just for clarity, KPA is a Keller personality assessment, and it's just like Myers Briggs. It's one of those. It's a behavioral type assessment, just so you get a better understanding of who people are with your limited amount of knowledge. And it's a written assessment. So for those who don't know what a KPA is, and the DISC is just it's also a behavioral assessment, just to understand how people may act in a certain situation, and what their behavioral patterns are. And that when you guys brought that up, I just think that's so key, that you don't break everything down to just writing an assessment. It's still business. There is still a personal component to this that you have to bring out. And when you're setting up a culture for your organization, you want to have a certain culture that people that may fit this bill on paper, right? And culturally, the way that they conduct themselves, the way you feel about them, it just may not be a fit for your culture. And I believe that a lot of times we overlook the idea of culture
Yeah.
in our businesses and our relationships of what we're setting up. I believe if you can take everything away, and it all boils down to culture, because you can have a person that does not fit exactly the way you want them to fit on paper. However, culturally, there's they change the idea, the culture of what you represent so dramatically. You can help train them up to be to go to where you want them to go. And I think culture is a big deal that we don't even talk about in growing organizations.
Yeah. And that goes for partners too. You guys have to culturally want the same things for the organization and things like that, tying it back to making those partnerships and those deals with people. So 1000% agree. But it takes you, let's be honest, guys, it takes you a while to learn that and get there. Like when you're first starting out, that's not what you think. And then you kind of, as you guys mentioned earlier, fail at it. And you're like, okay, this is what I learned.
Well, that's what's exciting about like this next go round is I feel like I'm starting a second life. Like the first life, I learned so much, didn't know the ins and outs of things, and then kind of got kicked, fell down. Now I stand back up. I'm like, oh, this is how the game works. Okay, game on.
Wait. Is this your over 40 life, Daniel?
This is I'm not 40 yet, but it's about to be.
This your over 40 life? You're transitioning into your legacy life?
Yes, yeah, my legacy life. That's what I'm gonna name it, Eric. My legacy life.
There we go.
Daniel, I was still that too, because I said in my legacy life, I'm gonna be a timeinaire. I want all my time back.
I love that. Time and air. That is a beautiful thing. So, and we've been having this conversation. It's a great dialogue. We could keep going. Thank you for being our guest today. Daniel, you want to close out?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marlena. If you could leave our listeners with one thing, what is the one thing that you think people should be focusing on or lesson you learned?
Yeah. So start now. Don't wait. And you don't have to go alone.
Start now. Don't wait. And you don't have to go alone. Okay.
I love that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Marlena. Until next time, friends.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not Keller Williams Realty LLC and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information.